कोरोना नयाँ प्रजातिको भाइरस हो। यसले सामान्य रुगाखोकीदेखि गम्भीर प्रकारको तीव्र श्वास प्रश्वाससम्म गराउन सक्छ। कोरोना भाइरसका लक्षणहरू 100.4 डिग्रीभन्दा बढी ज्वरो आउनु, रुगाखोकी लामो समयसम्म लागिरहनु, सास फेर्न गाह्रो हुनु, छाती तथा टाउको नियमित दुख्नु, निमोनिया हुनु, मृगौलाले काम गर्न बन्द गर्नु, झाडा पखाला लाग्नु, नियमित हाच्छिउँ आउनु। कोरोना भाइरसबाट कसरी बच्ने? नियमित रूपमा साबुन पानीले हात धुने, रुगाखोकी लागेमा तुरुन्तै स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा उपचार गराउने, खोक्दा हाच्छिउँ गर्दा रुमालले नाक र मुख छोप्ने, मासु तथा मासुजन्य खानेकुरा राम्ररी पकाएर मात्र खाने, पशुपन्छीसँग सिधै सम्पर्क नगर्ने वा नजिकै नजाने, धेरै बेरसम्म पशुपन्छीको नजिकै नबस्ने, धेरै भिडभाडमा नजाने, जानै पर्ने भए मास्क र चस्मा लगाएर मात्र जाने र सावधानी अपनाउने, आफ्नो व्यक्तिगत सरसफाइमा विशेष ध्यान दिने, रुगाखोकी लागेको व्यक्ति नजिकै नजाने, वैदेशिक यात्रा गर्दा सम्बन्धित देशको बारेमा अग्रिम जानकारी लिएर मात्र यात्रा तय गर्ने।
जनहितका लागि नेपाल टेलिभिजनद्वारा जारी सन्देश।
The death toll from the pandemic continues to soar across Europe, where Italy faces the biggest challenge. Our Elizabeth Palmer reports from London.
For Italian doctors and nurses, this has become a marathon of effort and determination. The lockdown is strict. Big cities have never looked so empty. And yet more people are dying of coronavirus in Italy than anywhere else on Earth. But there is a gleam of good news. The rate of infection is definitely slowing, and the number of deaths over the weekend dropped quite sharply. Spain has the second largest outbreak in Europe. The government is extending the state of emergency for 2 more weeks. Here in Britain, though people can go out and about freely, the Prime Minister had a warning.
Don't think that fresh air in itself automatically provides some immunity. You have to stay 2 meters apart.
In most countries but China, the coronavirus is still spreading. But in Wuhan, where this all began, restrictions are starting to be lifted and life is slowly returning to normal. There have been no new cases for the 4th day running. For CBS This Morning, I'm Elizabeth Palmer in London.
Normal. We all look forward to that. Seems like it's a long way off, though.
This risky type of escalation we're seeing from the U.S. and China, is it possible that the two sides can look past these differences, or are we just entering into a new Cold War now with this coronavirus?
Look, certainly the U.S.-Sino relations have entered a more competitive phase. Arguably, it has been like that for the past couple of years. Now, in the kind of latest developments and this sort of spiral with, for instance, banning of the U.S. journalists from Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal that can't report from China anymore, has added further fuel to the fire. And obviously, the latest diplomatic spat hasn't done anything to help that. One thing to keep in mind is that a lot of these accusations that are coming from both sides are actually serving a lot of domestic purposes in the first place, to basically deflect from potential misdoings or inability to respond to the outbreak of COVID-19 in each of those countries. So it's easier to blame the other side. It obviously scores a lot of political points in the first place and deflects from some of the issues, again, within both the U.S. and Chinese leadership.
Yep, deflecting blame. It seems like they're deflecting, I guess, when it comes to President Trump, his overall response to the coronavirus outbreak. Do you see that impacting what happens in November in any way?
It's really hard, obviously, to speculate what sort of developments we are yet to see unravel from, obviously, late March to early November. But certainly Donald Trump now doesn't have that major part of his re-election bid, and that's the strength and resilience of the economy to kind of tout as his major achievement. So what we've seen now is the rhetoric shifting actually to the kind of war on the virus, to president becoming from a peacetime to a kind of almost wartime president, declaring a state of emergency, and basically just touting how healthy the economy was once upon a time before this virus hit. So it's certainly changing a lot of the calculations, and this is also why we are again seeing a ramped up nationalist rhetoric as well. You know, the whole story around Chinese virus and so on. So these the sort of tools that have been used also in the context of 2016 campaign to rally the supporters to his side.
Garona, U.S.-China relations have implications on the rest of the world. If the tit for tat continues, what kind of collateral damage are we looking at?
Well, one thing is certain, any sort of pandemic response needs to come from joining of countries to kind of work in a concerted way, multilaterally, rather than just, you know, doing things by themselves. And if we have seen anything, it's basically just in these early days, the kind of responses have been strictly, you know, bringing back the state in rather than trying to work out solutions together, because obviously this is a virus that knows no nationalities or borders for that matter. So the more that we see the intensification in terms of this major power rivalry, the worse off the world really is in that sense. So if you know, we still hold hope that we can do something, it's probably more through concerted action rather than these sort of partial or piece by piece measures.
However you look at it, it is a power struggle between the U.S. and China. Is anyone emerging the winner at this point?
Well, I think that given the gravity of the situation and everything that we are learning from, you know, the pandemic, its extent and its severity, it's really hard to see who the real winners are. I mean, the only thing that we've seen so far is maybe just a glimpse of what the world could look like with a lower carbon footprint. If, you know, this is the sort of silver lining that we might have been looking for. But certainly there's been a great human cost, both in the kind of direct impact that has resulted from the outbreak of the pandemic, but also the knock-on effects on the economies. This is going to hurt everyone. There won't be, you know, winners per se in that sort of calculation.